October 15th, 2010. We are interviewing John McLaughlin. Mr. McLaughlin is 90 years old. He was born on September 9th, 1920. Our names are Cheyenne, Dunn, and Tyler Strickler. We'll be interviewing Mr. McLaughlin is an Army veteran. Mr. McLaughlin, could you state for the recording what war and branch of service you served in?
I was in World War II, and I was in the Army Air Force.
What rank were you?
I'm sorry?
What was your rank?
My highest rank was Staff Sergeant.
Where did you serve?
I served mostly in the United States, with about a year in the Philippine Islands.
How many years were you in the service?
About 3, almost 4 years.
So you served in the Air Force?
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you living at the time?
I was living in Wabash when I went into service.
How did you happen to serve in this war?
I was drafted.
Where did you do before you were drafted?
I worked at the General Tire factory in Wabash.
Did anyone else in your family serve in the military?
Yes, I have a brother that served in.
Can you tell us about adapting to military life?
Well, it wasn't really easy, but it wasn't too difficult. You had to, your life was, they told you when to get up, they told you when to eat, they told you what to do, they told you you could go to bed. So it was pretty structured, and you didn't have to think too much.
How did you choose the branch of service you served in?
I was assigned to the Air Force. I didn't have a choice.
Did anyone else in your family work? What kind of training did you have?
What kind of change?
No, what kind of training did you have?
Training. Well, I was, first you have your basic training. You learn to march. You learn to shoot a gun. You learn to make your bed just so to satisfy them. And then I was sent to Colorado to go to a clerical school and learned to keep records the way the Army wanted to do it.
Were any friendships formed?
Yes. Yeah, I had 2 or 3 very good friends who are no longer alive at this time.
Where did you serve?
I served in the, I was inducted in Indianapolis. I was sent to Florida for basic training. I was sent to Colorado, Denver, Colorado for clerical school. And then I was sent to Missouri, in St. Joe, Missouri at Rosecrans Airfield. I was there about 2.5, 3 years. Then they sent me to the Philippine Islands.
Acting or duties away from the front line?
Would you ask that again?
Actions or duties away from the front line?
Actions. Well, I was never at the front lines. We were about a mile behind the front lines. And our duties were to keep track of airplanes and who were on the airplanes when they flew into our field and when they flew out, so that if they crashed, we'd have to go look for them.
How did you stay in touch with those back home?
I wrote a letter about every day, and I got a letter about every day.
What did you do for reconstructed? Recreation.
Oh, for recreation. Oh, we played cards, and we slept a lot. And we played softball when I was in the United States. We had a softball league, but in the Philippines we mostly just wrote letters and played cards.
Were you still overseas when the war ended?
Yes, I was.
Where were you? Where were you?
I was at Luzon, at Fort McKinley in the Philippines.
How did you return home?
By boat, slow boat, and it came into California. Then we took a train from California to Chicago to Indianapolis, and then I rode the bus from Indianapolis back to Wabash.
And recreation by family and your community?
What is it?
Recreation by family and community?
Oh, well, of course we really celebrated because I'd been away a long time.
How hard was it to return to city life?
Not difficult. Not difficult. After you got used to sleeping in a good bed.
Are you a member of any veterans organizations?
Yes, I am, to the American Legion.
Any contact with fellow veterans? Was there any contact with fellow veterans?
Oh yes, occasionally, yes. Through the lodge, through the Legion Hall.
How has being in the military affected your life?
Well, you certainly learn to take things as they come, and I think they make you a little neater. You learn to take care of your clothes. You learn to take care of your shoes. You learn to take care of your rifle. You learn to take care of your bed, and you have to really keep your uniform neat. So I think neatness is probably the most thing that I got out of that.
Was there any lessons learned?
Lessons learned? Yes, here's a map of the Philippine Islands, and you can see where I was stationed on the island of Luzon, but every one of those islands was occupied by the Japanese, and they had to drive them off. So, and then we had air bases there, and as they flew from one island to another, they were supposed to come to our office and tell us who all was on the airplane, and where they were going, and how long it would take to get there, estimated. And if we didn't hear within a length of time, we had to, what we called doodlebug. We called them and sent out search and rescue to look to see what happened to those pilots. Because, we didn't want them down on an island or in the ocean without anybody looking for them. So that was our job when we were in the Philippines. So, but you can see, and down here is the little island of Leyte, right here. That's where General MacArthur walked in. He was still a long way from Manila with the Pearl of the Orient. So all those islands had to be conquered. And the only way they could do that, and he was very reluctant to do it because he had been over there, was blow them up and blow the buildings down and drive them out of there. It was.
Would you like to tell us in this quote?
I shall return. And he waited in. But I often wondered, who was the first person there? Was there a cameraman already on shore taking a picture of him coming in? He was very, very much in the news.
And with your permission, then if I can find it, we'll actually put a copy of him actually walking part of that video clip
Yeah,
to follow your quote,
yeah.
if that's okay.
Sure.
Hopefully I can find it. I think I can.
Yeah, okay. So, and these are the medals that you get. Those were the. See him there? The staff sergeant, that's the rank. That's a sergeant. You got, if you were a PFC, you got one inverted V. A corporal got 2. A sergeant got 3. A staff sergeant got 3 with a rocker underneath. That give you. This was the insignia, shoulder patches. You wore the air transport command buttons on our hat. The sharpshooter medal for that, and then the ribbons were for the Asiatic theater, and this one has fallen off, but the liberation of the Philippines. So they seem to appreciate what we did. But I'll tell you, children in the first grade started learning to speak English along with their regular tag-along. Speak the language. They call it tag-along. So they would ask us questions, and we were amazed at the questions they would ask from the first grade on up. I've got a couple here. Here's what Manila looked like after they got done bombing it. You can see that. No wonder they could come in. There wasn't much left. Here's the way some of their huts out in the jungle. Everything was built up on stilts, like that.
Good morning, everyone. Teachers in grades K, 1, and 2, would you send your students who have been awarded bus notes to the cafeteria for their reward? Thank you.
Obviously, we need to cut that part out.
Here's a picture of a Japanese Jeep that's been shot up pretty bad and made immobile.
Why were the huts on stilts
Beg
in
pardon?
the jungle?
Huh?
Why were the huts on stilts in the jungle?
Well, because of the wild animals that run through the jungle to begin with, and then when it came time to get rid of the garbage, just push it through the floor, with slats in the floor, and the hogs underneath were fed what was left over. This little picture shows how one of the better roads as I say, here's a picture of one of their not so good roads. They took it pretty much a Jeep or an animal to get down through there. Here shows an Army vehicle coming through the jungle, and it took a 4-wheel drive to get around. If you're here's one of our early tents and our sleeping quarters. Not exactly Hilton Hotel, but it wasn't bad. And as I say, I like to say this is the farmer and his son and his John Deere tractor, which is it's a water buffalo, and that they were used for all. They even rode them. They get on and ride them, but I wouldn't recommend it. Make sure that he's very tame before you try that. I'll have some of the pictures I have. Oh, it's been a long time ago. I don't think I can remember too many. No, I think you did a very good job, both of you, Cheyenne and
Thank you for showing our attention.
okay, you're welcome.